Hello everyone, coming up tonight on Now. Remember that hashtag #MeToo? Well, now there's a new movement in Maine called Can Do. We'll explain what that means.
Also, lots of people planning to travel over the holidays. If you're planning to fly, check your ticket. There's a major shortage of pilots. Oops.
Yeah, and can you really work from home productively? Our Verify team looks into it.
This is News Center Now.
From the entertainment industry to Washington, sexual harassment in the workplace is everywhere. It seems every day another person is accused of sexual misconduct. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. This movement of victims coming forward started with movie mogul Harvey Weinstein and moved to popular entertainers like Kevin Spacey and Louis C.K. among those accused.
And politicians, including Al Franken, who was accused of sexual misconduct by another victim today. But one of the biggest shocks was the abrupt termination of today's Matt Lauer. This morning, Lauer issued a statement saying there is some truth to the allegations, although he says some of the stories are untrue. Lauer was fired after a colleague submitted a complaint to NBC accusing him of inappropriate sexual behavior during the 2014 Olympics. Lauer went on to say that he is truly sorry and regrets the pain that he caused.
So we've spoken to a number of experts over the past few weeks, and many have said that these accusations often do come in waves because survivors feel that they're empowered to share their stories.
So we want to hear about your experience. Today's Pulse poll is a serious topic. Have you seen evidence of sexual harassment in your workplace? Go to pulse.newscentermaine.com or open up the Pulse tab on our mobile apps to vote. Your vote is, of course, confidential, but if you do want to share your story, you can head to our Facebook live stream right now. Now, some of you may have already shared your story online with the hashtag #MeToo.
Now, people all over Maine are participating in a new campaign from the Maine Coalition Against Sexual Assault with the hashtag #CanDo. Chris Costa explains.
Craig Poulin is a proud grandfather.
They're my new grandbabies, yeah.
Retired Colonel Craig Poulin worked for the Maine State Police for nearly 30 years and is one of the many people sending in a photo and words of hope.
So we respond to a lot of things and clean up the mess afterwards, but prevention is always the key to any of this stuff.
Dozens of Mainers, police chiefs, state senators, and everyday people telling their stories of how they stop sexual violence.
It's going beyond awareness. It's going beyond this happens and into what happens next and what can we do next.
Kara Corshane is coordinating the Can Do campaign. It focuses not just on how to prevent it, but how to support survivors, many of whom are sharing their stories.
And that brought me to tears in my office. It just feels really impactful to see people who have been hurt in some of the worst ways possible and who still deal with issues of PTSD and depression and anxiety and all of the things that result from a sexual assault, and use their voice for people who don't feel comfortable doing that.
As allegations continue to come out against high-profile people, Mainers like Craig do their part to change the culture, even out of uniform.
I'm still a parent, a grandparent, and if I can't be out there arresting people or if I can't be out there investigating, I can support the people that are a strong and important arm in the awareness of sexual assault.
In Augusta, Chris Costa, News Center.
And there are a number of ways you can submit your photo and words of hope. We have those ways listed on our website.
Well, the allegations against Congressman Conyers, as we have learned more since Sunday, are serious, disappointing, and very credible. It's very sad. The brave women who came forward are owed justice. I pray for Congressman Conyers and his family and wish them well. However, Congressman Conyers should resign.
House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi has called for Michigan Congressman John Conyers to resign. Several women accused Conyers of sexual misconduct. He is 88 years old and the most senior member of the House of Representatives. This morning he was hospitalized in his home state of Michigan for stress.
All right, let's take a quick look now at our Pulse results so far. 58% of you say you have seen evidence of sexual harassment in your workplace.
Now we compare those numbers to a new national poll which is out today. The survey conducted by NBC News and SurveyMonkey began on Monday and it ended yesterday. It found that 4 out of every 5 Americans believe that sexual harassment is taking place in the workplace.
Only 9% of the people who responded thought it was happening in their own office. Furthermore, less than half of men polled say they've seriously considered changing their own behavior. Now, we're going to leave our Pulse poll up through News Center at 6, so you still have plenty of time to send in your vote.
All right, totally switching gears now. We go outside to a guy who's inside to talk about things that are up in the sky. Hey, it's Keith Carson.
You know, I haven't had much of an opportunity to go out and stormy. You know, I'm waiting for the winter season. It'll come. Paid a lot of money for that car, you know. No leather, though. Nice car. Got clouds moving in right now. Some precip on the way. If you look to the west, you can see this front. And the front will get a little bit enhanced as it moves towards us later tonight. But much as it is right now, it'll be a mixture of rain and snow depending on your latitude and your elevation. So it'll be rain for the coastline and a little pocket of freezing rain that's moving into the Adirondacks. I think has the possibility to be some freezing rain for our foothills later on tonight. I don't think it's a big event as far as that goes, but there is the possibility of a little icing. Temperatures in the 40s along the coastline. It'll be just plain rain there, but you can see the borderline readings in the mountains and into Berlin. Typically for freezing rain, you like temperatures to be in the upper 20s at the surface, and that's what we do have in a place like Freiburg. So again, watch them later on tonight as this precip moves in after midnight for some of us, and there is going to be a little mixing going on there. Eventually, though, all rain along the coastline through the early morning hours. This is a quick moving storm, though. It's out of here by 9 or 10 a.m. and certainly by noon. The afternoon actually looks pretty good. We'll talk about the weekend and the big pattern change in just a few minutes.
In my opinion, it was definitely a mistake. And if I'm involved in this, I really apologize if I hurt anyone. So I didn't do anything on purpose.
Media outlet TechCrunch says it has found the employee who deactivated President Trump's Twitter account about a month ago. POTUS's account was shut down for about 11 minutes, but the world noticed. Twitter said the shutdown was human error by an employee on their last day of work. Badiar Dushak says his last day at Twitter, working as a help desk contractor, he got a complaint from another user about the president's rhetoric. He fielded the complaint and started Twitter's review process, which could have led to the deactivation. But he says just as the company does, that it was an absolute accident.
As if holiday travel wasn't stressful enough, there apparently are not enough pilots to go around this holiday season.
Yeah, a union representing pilots for American Airlines announced yesterday that 15,000 flights are without a captain thanks to a scheduling glitch. John Henry reports from D.C.
Zachary Khan made plans to fly American Airlines this holiday season. He wants to take his girlfriend to L.A.
so she can meet my family.
But now an already stressful trip has hit a bit of a road bump.
We don't even know if we're going to get there.
It's all thanks to a major computer glitch. Turns out thousands of American Airlines pilots were accidentally not scheduled to fly between December 17th and December 31st, putting a lot of flights in jeopardy. As you might expect, American Airlines' Twitter page was far from a happy place this afternoon, but the airline still tried to reassure customers it would fix the problem. Its PR team tweeted at Zachary, "We're not expecting our flights to be affected." That still was not enough to convince him.
There is a lot of uncertainty. It just seems like airlines don't care about passengers anymore.
Now, flights to or from Dallas, Charlotte, New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia are the most affected. That is according to American Airlines.
All right, so you're not feeling good. Cough suppressant, cough and cold and flu. What are you supposed to buy at the pharmacy? We will peel back some of the labels and let you know what to choose the next time you come down with that nasty cold. And
how much debt do you think you'll be in?
I'll probably come out with 80.
UMaine students know exactly how much money they're paying for school, but do they think it's worth it? That's coming up on Now.
2017 was one of the most destructive hurricane seasons in history. 3 major storms made landfall in the United States alone.
It was the most expensive season ever recorded. These numbers are all adjusted as if these storms hit in 2017. According to Enki Research, storms caused more than $206 billion in damage. Only 3 years ever had more than $100 billion in damage. After this year, we have to go all the way back to the 1890s for the next most expensive hurricane season. In 1893, a storm struck the U.S. that killed more than 1,000 people. And 2005 saw major storms like Wilma, Rita, and of course, Hurricane Katrina.
And a Maine mother's effort to bring relief to Puerto Rico has been a huge success. Deb Roberts' son, Michael Holland, spent a lot of time in Puerto Rico when he was aboard the El Faro. Roberts wanted to donate to the hurricane relief effort in memory of her son, who passed away when the El Faro sank in Hurricane Joaquin. Roberts filled an entire trailer with donations for Puerto Rico. She's packing up and preparing to ship that trailer out tonight.
A co-founder of the Ice Bucket Challenge has passed away from ALS. The ALS Association says Anthony Sinercia Jr. died this weekend. Anthony and his wife Jeanette were among the first to post a video of her dumping a bucket of ice water on her head. Of course, that movement really took off when former Boston College star Pete Frates got behind the trend. Anthony's ice bucket is on display at the National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C.
As we transition into winter, and if you've watched any of our programming over the last couple of weeks, more people coming down with the common cold, most of them in this newsroom.
Yeah, it was making its way through here a few weeks ago, but when you get sick, do you really know what you're buying at the drugstore?
If you've ever stood and stared at all of the over-the-counter medications, wondering which one to purchase, this story is for you. Erica Edwards has it.
Navigating a drugstore's cold and flu medicine aisle can be dizzying, especially when a virus already has you feeling blurry.
There are hundreds of products on store shelves and an incredible amount of confusion.
To clear things up, Consumer Reports has published a primer on over-the-counter product labels. If you have a nasty cough, an expectorant will encourage you to cough more to get rid of extra phlegm and mucus. If your cough is more annoying, you may opt for a cough suppressant. That blocks the cough reflex. But watch for the pain reliever acetaminophen if you're looking at multi-symptom products.
Acetaminophen shows up in all of these different products. Sometimes when you don't really even need it, it's easy to get too much of it, and that's something that we were really concerned about.
Too much acetaminophen can cause liver damage. Consumer Reports says anything labeled severe suggests the manufacturer added an extra ingredient, so a detailed read of the label is a good idea. Also remember, the kitchen can be just as good as the drugstore at treating cold symptoms.
We recommend highly chicken soup. The research on it is terrific.
Hot chicken soup can ease congestion and may reduce inflammation in the body. Erica Edwards, NBC News.
Of course, when in doubt, ask a pharmacist.
They are more than happy to come out from behind the counter, help you find the right medication so that you feel better faster.
All right, if you trade in your office for your kitchen table, can you actually get work done? We set out to verify, are you more productive working from home? The answer coming up.
And Keith's productive home, away, wherever he goes. His forecast coming up.
Student debt. A lot of us have it, but is it all worth it?
Well, we're about halfway through the school year, so Tennyson Coleman set out to find out what college students think as that fall semester winds down.
According to a report by CNBC, nearly 44 million Americans are saddled with student loan debt. And for people in their 20s, that debt averages out to about $22,000. Now, as a recent college graduate and someone in their 20s, I can attest to that. But with the semester winding down here at the University of Maine, we wanted to figure out if students here feel like the investment is, well, worth it. We're doing a story today just talking about student debt and all of that. Just wondering, it's a touchy subject for many. Do you guys have student loans?
I do not.
You don't have any?
I do.
You do. For some students still in college, the debt is piling up. How much debt do you think you'll be in?
I'll probably come out with 80.
80 grand.
And I'm an in-state student too, so.
That's a lot of change to add up from the penny jar, but here's the general consensus. Do you think it's worth it?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, look at this beautiful campus.
Yes, because I'm going into engineering, so that's why I chose the route, because I knew I'd have to take out a lot of loans. So I chose a field that would pay it off quickly.
Another engineering major had a similar outlook.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm graduating here soon, and so I have a job coming up, so I feel like it's worth it.
Adam Green is fortunate enough to not have to take out any student loans because he has scholarships and help from home. but he has several friends who have had to.
I think a lot of them don't realize what they're getting into, and I think a lot of people go for majors where they think that they're going to get a job and they don't, and then they get out and realize that they have all this debt and they have no way to pay it back.
But if the scholarships were stripped away,
would you take out loans if you had to?
I would do it because I think I'm in a major where I could make the money back.
Well, there you have it. Most of the folks we talked to today say that the student debt is worth it because they believe their career fields will help them pay off all of those loans. Well, that's all the time we have. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
I think my debt's worth it.
It does depend. I think it absolutely depends on what you do. Like I can relate to the engineering. Like if you're going to be $80,000 in debt and get a job that pays $25,000 a year, that's really not great math.
Take a long time.
So,
so
I mean, you definitely struggle to pay it back.
You have to think about the ratio for sure.
Right.
All right, we got some rain, snow, everything on the way here. Not a huge storm, but it's the first interesting one we've had in a little bit with some freezing rain pockets. That's indicated in the pink. Usually the pink can also indicate sleet, but in this case the temperature profile is such that I think we're looking at the freezing rain. It's part of a front that will sweep through. You can see it's relatively narrow, so that means that it's a relatively quick moving system for us. Coming in tonight and really gone by mid-morning tomorrow, so we'll actually clear out tomorrow afternoon. Again, watch some of these areas as it first comes in for some freezing rain. I think Freiburg is a prime candidate for that. Not big icing, but some ice is a possibility at 29. Meanwhile, along the coastline, this is all rain tonight. It really won't even be very close. We'll actually warm up as that rain approaches. So here's your hour-by-hour forecast, 8 o'clock. Most of us still dry. Here comes precipitation. Snow in the mountains. Again, some freezing rain possible in places like Freiburg and kind of along that corridor there. And then eventually the warm air kind of winds out. Tomorrow morning it's all rain as it exits down East Maine around 8 to 10 in the morning. And we should be cleared out by tomorrow afternoon. So it actually ends as a nice day despite the fact that it will be a little bit nasty to start. And then Saturday and Sunday are both just kind of okay days. Partly cloudy, some high thin clouds around, particularly in both afternoons, and temperatures in the upper 30s to right around 40 degrees. Nothing all that interesting there. Snowfall forecast, 1 to 2 inches should do it. Maybe a little bit more in Aroostook County. I could buy seeing, about 3 inches in spots there. The rest of us, though, won't see any snow accumulation at all. I continue to look ahead to this big pattern change late next week. Look at this trough. This is such a good setup. Cold air is in place. We've got a nice difference in temperatures here that it's over a relatively short span of time. That is a good stormy pattern to see, and sure enough, the European model, granted it is very far out, so don't hang your hat on this yet, but it's hinting at some storminess for us as we head into Thursday and then again into next weekend. And if this all aligns the way it is, it certainly will not be an all rain event for us. We will have some snow, at the very least mixed in, if not entirely snow. So we'll watch that late next week into next weekend. It is a big pattern change for us. Before that, it will rain on Tuesday. It'll probably rain a little bit on Wednesday as well. And again, we're watching Thursday as that rain snow line may collapse and give us our first accumulating snow of the season in spots. It is a week away, so whatever, things can change. The pattern certainly, though, is conducive to possibly catching our first snowstorm here in the next week or 10 days.
Okay.
And we will be in December at midnight tonight.
It'll be almost exactly on cue. Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be.
Right.
The way life should be. That's a good motto.
All right, how many of us are jealous of the friends who work from home?
Seems like a pretty sweet deal, but could you actually ever get work done while you're sitting at home? Not at my house. Turns out it can be really productive, though, the Verify team reports.
With many people giving up on the gridlock and getting their work done from home, viewer Judy Berg wanted to know, are these employees more or less productive than employees who go into the office? We asked Kate Lister, who's tracked hundreds of studies and reports on the subject as president of Global Workplace Analytics.
Companies that have actually done this, companies that have measured it, shows an increase of between 15 and 55% productivity for people when they're working at home.
We also talked to Dr. Phyllis Moen at the University of Minnesota's Flexible Work and Wellbeing Center, who studied work flexibility at a Fortune 500 company. She found people who work from home feel more efficient, productive, and happier because they feel in charge of their lives and work. There can be too much of a good thing, though. Gallup found much lower engagement when people work remotely all the time. But both Moen and Listers say it doesn't need to be all or nothing, and simply having the option to work from home can be enough.
Engagement goes up even if people have the option but don't use it.
Some companies like Best Buy and IBM have pulled back on work-from-home programs in recent years in favor of face-to-face interaction and collaboration. Lister says a balanced approach seems to work best.
Offices are becoming the places of collaboration, and home is becoming the case of concentration.
For Verify, I'm Jeremiah Jacobson, KARE 11 News.
And if you hear a question or a claim that you'd like us to verify, you know how to reach us. Send us a message on social media or just an email to asknow.
Okay, by the way, Justin, there's been a 4.4 magnitude earthquake reported in the state of Delaware. No word on damages yet, but we have Keith with us to kind of explain what happened here.
Well, the good news is if that holds as the estimate, because they do fluctuate, that would be below a damage threshold. In fact, Maine had one a couple of years ago that was a 4.2, I want to say, and it is noticeable, and it shakes things on shelves and chandeliers. Typically doesn't do any real damage, though.
Okay,
so that's good news.
Good
to know. News. If there's going to be an earthquake, we'll take one of those.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated. Thanks,
All right.
Keith. All right, Cindy Williams is here with a preview of what's coming up at 5:30. Cindy's not here, so we'll read it.
All right, you go
Senator
first.
Susan Collins wants to make some changes to the GOP tax plan, why she thinks there needs to be other deductions, and what she has to say about the health care repeal coming up in the next half hour.
And the days are getting colder, but so many Mainers don't have coats to stay warm. Don Kerrigan will show us why this weekend's Coats for Kids drive kickoff is so important in the entire campaign. All that and more starting at 5:30. We're back dropping some brain after this.
All right, we were talking about something else altogether. Today's brain drops, by the science of it.
Looks good.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Let's go with it. Which is more dangerous, alcohol or marijuana? You know, now that more states are legalizing it, it's good to see from the numbers where it come from. So first of all, there are many more deaths from alcohol than there are from marijuana. That's no surprise, about 30,000. The other thing to think about is what's more addictive. And you probably won't be surprised by the fact that alcohol has been found to be more addictive statistically than has marijuana. The stats on it, 9% of users are addicted, 15% are addicted for alcohol, and heroin is 23%. I think everybody knows to stay away from heroin when possible. The downside of alcohol, it has been linked, especially recently, guys, with a lot of cancers, especially mouth, esophagus, and intestinal cancers. And we're talking about only 1 drink a day in some of these cases. But net, it is a lot safer. And there actually hasn't been a very high instance of lung cancer from smoking marijuana. They're not sure why that is yet. More research is needed because guess what? It's been illegal for a really long time.
All right. You
Senator 5:30 starts.